Good morning to all. Good morning, colleagues. And I know it's very cold out there. And thank you very much for joining us. Before we could actually start with our event, we made a promise as the BEC to say that if we are going to say that we are actually the association, if we are saying we are actually leading the branch, one of the most important thing is actually to support the interest groups, colleagues, because remember we as the association, we say that we represent the interest of people working in libraries, and one of them is actually ensuring that colleagues are actually able, or librarians or library staff are actually able to keep up with the current trends within the list sector. And without the waste of time, colleagues, I just want to appreciate your time to say that you will actually join this us as we actually be learning, or rather actually teaching, or rather getting one or two from our own speaker. Without a waste of time, I'm going to give our secretary, Ms. Boloka. I'm not sure if I'm still safe to say Ms. Boloka, but yeah, to actually introduce our speaker for the day. Ms. Boloka.
Okay, thank you, Chairperson. Good morning, colleagues, and thank you so much for honoring our invitation. Mine is just simple. I'm just gonna introduce you the speaker for our today's training. Our speaker is based at University of South Africa in Information Science Department. He is teaching cataloging through Rda, and I'm just gonna tell you the module that he's teaching. Actually, it's called Recording Information Sources. We all know that there are standards that we use to catalog our library materials, and I'm sure we are well aware of Rda, but I've realized that most people are experienced in terms of cataloging using AACR2. So we want our speaker today, who is a master, who obtained his master's degree at University of Zululand, and now at his final stages of PhD. I know for sure he submitted his thesis for external examination. So soon we'll be calling him a doctor. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest speaker is Mr. Philangani Sibiya. Philangani, thank you and welcome. You can take us through your presentation. Thank you.
Good morning, colleagues. Thank you, Dr. Buluga, for the brilliant introduction. I'm honored. Thank you. As indicated, my name is Phila Sibiya, shortened from the one that Dr. Buluga just mentioned, Philangani, because mostly people from my side, they've got the longest names. I don't know why, but it's because in most cases they would say it's because of the stories behind the names. So thank you so much for the introduction. Not sure how, I wasn't too sure of structuring my presentation for this particular workshop, but then I think I will just shoot from the hip just to ensure that maybe we start by checking the theory, then from there we can be able to move on to the practical side of cataloging resources using Rda. I'd say that with Rda, I'm going to show you the practical aspect of it using the toolkit, the Rda toolkit. But then with Mark 21, we don't have access to the online system of Mark 21. But then I'll try and use the table that I have to assist in explaining the mark text that goes with RDA. I want to believe that most of us in the session, we know about Mark 21 because even with Anglo-American cataloging rules, we're using Mark 21. So I am not sure if I can start now, sharing my presentation. Can we see the screen?
Not yet.
No, not yet.
Oh, okay. But it says this side, it says it has shared already. Please confirm once it appears on your side.
Okay, will do.
No, that's not showing. I think first you need to make sure that the presentation is open, and then once you click on share screen at the bottom, you select the open presentation.
Why is it showing first? Still nothing.
No, nothing on our side.
Oops. Okay, let me start again.
There we are. We can see your presentation. You can now put it in presenter mode. There we are. Good to go.
Yeah, then thank you so much for the guidance. Okay, colleagues, as you know that recently we have moved from AACR2 to RTA as cataloging instructions. So we'll be taking you through the little bit of a historical background and also a bit of the changes that are there between from AACR2 to RTA. The outline of our presentation will be as thus. We've got the introduction, we've got the overview of RTA, then we've got differences between Anglo-American cataloging rules and RTA. We have got introduction to metadata schemas. Like we know there's Dublin Core and Mark 21, and most institutions, they use both these two metadata schemas to catalog or to record their resources. Then we have got Mark 21 as most libraries, to be precise, academic and also sometimes the public libraries, they use Mark 21 for recording their information resources. Then we have got to navigate the Rda Toolkit. Then I've got an example, like I'll have only one example, which is monographs, cataloging monographs. Then maybe some few recommendations, then we conclude. I will try to make it as short as possible to ensure that I don't confuse people. I know if you have taken a long time in talking, people get confused. Okay, as we know that Anglo-American Cataloging Rules Second Edition is a tool that has been used for cataloging library materials since 1967. So, like this tool, as you know, most of us, if maybe, I'm sure that I'm talking to practitioners, when we were starting, we were mostly taught Anglo-American cataloging rules because that's what was used in libraries. Although there were conversations or I'd say actions of phasing it out, but then during our times, they were teaching this particular tool. Then, as you know, that from 1967, the tool has been kind of like revised into different versions. As you know that now, when it was phased out, it was Anglo-American Cataloging Rules edition number 2. So it means we had edition 1 and then it moved to edition 2. So it was structured in 2 parts. The first part, the recording part, and then the second part was about providing access points to information materials. Anglo-American Cataloging Rules, we cannot dispute that it was based on the 8 areas, which are 9 now, of the ISBD standard. So these are the areas of the ISPT standard, title and statement of responsibility. I'm sure we are all familiar with, so I won't waste much of our time delineating on them. So the first part, this is how American Cataloging rules was structured. We have, it was, as you know, that it was structured in terms of chapters. So, and the reason why I'm giving a little bit of a background on ASR2, I want us, when we get to Rda, I want us to see the differences in terms of structure. If maybe I can just clarify there, we know that ASR2 is a structure-based standard, while Rda, it is content-based. So it means that it's unlike this, whereby we know that if maybe we need to catalog books, we need to go to chapter so and so. If we need to catalog music, we need to go to chapter so and so, as they are noted there. With Rda, everything's recorded under that particular rule, depending, since it is an online kind of tool, so you just go to that particular rule online, and then despite that you are cataloging a book or you are cataloging music, you just go down, you just click on the particular rule that is supposed to be used, unlike going to certain chapters. Then the second part, access points. Even with Rda, we do have access points there, but I'm still going to explain further when we get there. Okay, the overview of Rda, then Rda is shortened for resource description and access. It is a new unified cataloging standard. If we may know, Rda was developed based on the functional requirements for bibliographic records framework that was developed in 1998. And again, the functional requirements for authority data model statement for international cataloging principles. These are the three principles, or I'd say models, that we use to develop Rda. The first draft of Rda was published in 2003. It was intended to be an extension or a revision of Anglo-American Cataloging Rules. It was supposed to be Anglo-American Cataloging Rules 3. However, since Rda is based on the theoretical models and broader than Anglo-American Cataloging Rules, as it places an emphasis on the digital world, it was then separated from Anglo-American Cataloging Rules, addition to and given a different name. That different name was resource description and access. As indicated earlier on, Rda is a content standard, while Anglo-American Cataloging Rules is a structure-based standard. So the difference here is that the other one is in chapters. It is based on certain structures, like, you know, that maybe until this chapter will be different materials, how to catalog different materials. But then from this chapter to this chapter, then it will be about authority control, providing access and stuff. And then Rda is a content standard. So it's not an on-coding standard. For coding, we use Mark and Goodwin Core and other metadata schemas that may be there. Then there are differences between Rda and Anglo-American Cataloging Rules. For instance, in Rda, there are few abbreviations as compared to Anglo-American Cataloging Rules. Maybe we will remember that with Anglo-American Cataloging Rules, if maybe we are cataloging a book, and then we find this book, it is written second edition, then in our description or in our recording of information resources, we have to ensure that we don't write it in full, as in like edition. So we have to write ed dot, which means edition. So that's how it was structured. There were so many abbreviations as compared to Rda. Rda, you write it as it appears in the resource. Rule of 3 is no longer applicable with resource description and access. We have always knew that with Rda, with Mark 20, with Anglo-American Cataloging Rules, what we would do when we have got a book that has got more than 3 authors, then it means that we will have to apply the rule of 3, meaning that if there are 4, we write only the first order, then et al. But with Rda, that rule is no longer applicable. We can write all the orders if you want to, or depending on the rules of the institution. Say maybe you write 4, you write 3. If there are 6, you write 3, something like that. It depends on the rules of the organization, which introduces flexibility in terms of recording information resources. Inaccuracies are recorded as they appear on the actual resource being cataloged. With Rda, you don't change anything. You record it as it appears on the resource. So even if the name of the author or the publication area has been written incorrectly, you do not change anything, write it as it is. Then maybe you can provide another area, the same area, then you write it in a correct form, but then in that way, you suppose there are rules that are applicable. Maybe we are going to tap into that when we are doing the actual cataloging and seeing the toolkit of Rta. Renewed emphasis on transcription. So then now they are emphasizing on transcribing what is there, unlike trying to correct things that the way you think they should be appearing. So with Rda, you're supposed to do it the way it is shown on the record. Changes to authorized headings, which may be perceived as unusual. Rda relies on catalogs, judgments, then move towards international and developed for the future. Moves from classes of materials to elements and values, which are entities and attributes. So the cataloger decides mostly because Rda is more flexible compared to Anglo-American cataloging rules. So the cataloger gets to decide about a lot of things when cataloging books, but then they are at the same time guided by the Rta toolkit. So there is more, it has moved towards international standards and developed for the future. So it's unlike Anglo-American cataloging rules, like it is something that is globally engaged. So if you are doing something here, it is mostly something that is kind of like the same as in another sphere of the world. Then moves from classes of material to elements. As we have indicated that it is a content standard, it is a content standard, not a structure-based standard. So it means that we do not really talk about chapter 1, we deal with monographs, chapter 2, we deal with this. So with Rda, we call them entities and attributes. Like the entity, it can be a book. So when you are cataloging, you're supposed to catalog it based on the rules or based on the instruction of the toolkit, unlike using the chapters. And then there's been a change in terminology from Anglo-American cataloging rules to Rda. Like as we knew with Anglo-American cataloging rules, there was physical description. Now we don't say physical description, we say describing carriers. There are nodes. Then we say describing content or recording relationships. There is main entry. Main entry, okay, there are headings. Then we say authorized access points. There are there's something called main entry in Anglo-American cataloging rules, but with Rda, we say authorized access points for creator and preferred title. Then there is added entries, those are access points. Then we have got C references, those are variant access points. See also references, authorized access point for related entities. Author, it's no longer an author now. We say a creator, uniform title. We say preferred title or conventional collective title. Then that brings us to our encoding standards or metadata schemas. But the focus of this will be mainly on Mark 21. I'll just give a brief kind of background in terms of metadata schemas. Like metadata schemas a set of elements designed to meet the needs of a particular community. Like a database of some sort, you decide, like if you were to come up with a database to record librarians, you decide of the I'd say elements that need to be covered in that particular database in a way that a metadata schema. So like you have name and surname, institution, maybe experience, something like that, then that makes it a metadata schema because it is designed for a particular community. In this case, it would be librarians. So they are created for a specific type of information resource and for specific purposes. Examples are Dublin Core and also Mark 21. Dublin Core originates from Dublin, Ohio, where the first workshop was held in 1995. Mark is a well-known metadata schema used in libraries and information environment. Okay, Dublin Core is defined. Okay, I'm not going to waste time about Dublin Core because I don't think most of you are using Dublin Core for recording information resources, but I might stress that more other institutions, they use Dublin Core for recording their information resources. Hence it was covered in this presentation. So I'll have to just move on to the next phase. So there is Mark 21. Mark 21 is shortened for Machine-Readable Cataloging. Mark 21 is one of the standards used for encoding metadata. It was developed in 1960s by the Library of Congress. It was created as a container for an exchange for format of computerized bibliographic records. So as the library collection was growing in the Library of Congress, they had to come up with a computational kind of like system that is going to be used to record information resources for ease of retrieval by patrons. So that's how Mark 21 was developed. The metadata entered into the Mark record is controlled by descriptive cataloging rules. In this instance, we will be using resource description and access. While before they were using Rta American Cataloguing rules edition number 2. Then the other thing that controls the information that goes into a Mark record would be your control subject headings. Like for instance, we have got CS subject list of headings, then or else other libraries they use Library of Congress subject headings. And then the classification rules, there are so many classification rules. Like now we'll be talking about the Dewey Decimal classification or the Universal Decimal classification or the Library of Congress classification. There are so many, but those are the few. Mark 21 is a framework for traditional cataloging. It is not a cataloging standard like AACR2 or Rda. So Mark 21 consists of a leader. This is all about the structure of Mark 21. There is a leader, a directory, control fields, and variable data fields. The leader, the first part of the Mark record contains 24 alphanumeric characters and identifiers. Such include the characters, coding schema, and the kind of information resource that is being described. So if you open the actual Mark 21 record, the first thing that you will see to be your leader, that where you do all your settings, what are you cataloging, is it a monograph, and all that, how many, I'd say, what information goes where and stuff like that. So it's kind of like you put that information in the leader. And then after that, you have got the record structure contains a series of fixed length segments, each 12 characters long, that identify the field tag, the length, and the starting position of each field in the record. So here it is all about the information that controls what goes where within the record structure. I'd say you will see it properly when we are doing it practically so. Then there are data fields, 3 field types, e.g. control fields, codes, numbers, number fields, and variable fields. Okay, then control fields carry alphanumeric data elements and are used for progressing for processing machine readable bibliographic records and Library of Congress control numbers. Some are also called fixed fields. Code and number fields make up the 0xx fields and standard numbers, including classification number and others. For instance, the 020, which is the ISBN, the ISSN, the cataloging source, and the Jewish decimal classification number. Variable data fields, those will be from 1xx to 800 to 8xx, carry alphanumeric data or variable length. These fields contain traditional cataloging data and traditional information. For instance, 245, which is your title and statement of responsibility. Then we've got number and code fields, and variable data fields are made up of text, indicators, and subfield codes. Text are 3-digit numbers from 001 to 999 that designate the kind of content that will be entered into the field. If maybe I can just make an example with the ISBN. The ISBN is 020. Those are 3-digit. That means you need to key in the ISBN of a particular resource, or I'd say monograph that you are cataloging. Text, as you see, there are main entry fields, title, physical description. Okay, I'd say there are some errors that were committed here because the kind of naming, it is still in Anglo-American for cataloging rules. Because remember, we said we don't call the physical description a physical description here, but to say describing the carriers. So, but in a way, there is 100 access points, 200 title edition imprint fields, 300 physical description, which is describing carriers, 400 series field, notes, describing relationships, 600 subject access field, 700 edit entries, then 800 series edit entries and holding data fields. Then we have got 900 local data fields. Okay, then now I'd say we can start with the navigation of the Rda toolkit. But before I get there, I think I should just finish with the presentation. Then from there, we can properly go on and do the practical part of the session. So, as you know, there are certain added and extended mark fields in Rda that were not there with Anglo-American Cataloguing. 040, we never had a 040 in Anglo-American Cataloguing, because I think it was obvious that when you are cataloging in a library setting, you are going to use AACR2. But now, because different institutions, like for instance, you find some institutions in rural areas, they still in rural libraries, or maybe in a way, like in a special library, they are still using Anglo-American cataloging rules for cataloging their resources. Hence, maybe they don't have access to resource description and access. So they are supposed to specify what is that they've used as a cataloging source. And then again, we have got 264 replacing 260. Remember, with AACR2, we used to have 260 for publication details or production details or distribution details. But now with resource description and access, we have got 264. The describing carriers part, which is the physical description in our normal AACR2, has been extended into other further 3 areas. We have got the 336 now, the 337 and 338. Like, you need to tell us about the content type of that resource. Is it text? Is it mediated or unmediated? And then the last part is carrier. What carrier is it? It is carried in volumes. Is it a digital file, something like that? You need to specify that information in the 300 field. Then 542, information related to copyright status. Like, you need to tell us about, does this resource have copyright? It's still, you still need to give us the 264 for copyright, but then here you specify the status of copyright. You find that a book doesn't have a copyright as yet, but then there is information about the processes of copyright regarding a particular book, then you need to provide information on 542. Remember, 500, it is the area of note describing relationships. Okay, cataloging monographs instructions. So this is a table I came with just to try and help colleagues understand using, like, converting the knowledge from AACR to RTA. Like RTA rules, we use RTA rules to record information into the MARC 21. So access points, they are in 100 to 700. Like if we are talking about access point, like if the book is authored, we know that we need to go to 100 and have the author. Then we've got other contributors, then they go to 700. Title and statement of responsibility area, there is 245. Then edition area, that is 250. Publication, distribution, etc. area, then we use 264. If city, etc., then we mean the production area. What else? Copyright, description, and all that, it goes under 264. Physical description or recording, describing carriers, then that goes to 300. Types of content, media, and carrier area, that goes to 300, 336, 337, and 338. Series, 400. Notes, 500. Identifier for manifestation, that goes to 020 or 022. That is your ISBN and ISSN. Then obviously I had to come up with the kind of access points that you may have. Then we have got access points under 100. We have got access points under 700, designators 100 and 700. Then nodes, obviously in 500. Colleagues, that will be the end of the theoretical part of this session. Maybe if there are questions, I'd love to take them now before we move on to the practical part of the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Sibia. Any questions, colleagues? Mr. Sibia talked about some carriers, mediated or unmediated, and I know for sure majority of you haven't come across these terms before. Don't you have any questions around this? Or maybe you need to be reminded about those 8 areas. Any question or comment? Sibia, I take it there is no question.
Oh,
You can
okay,
continue.
no problem. Then I think I need to log into the Rta Toolkit to continue with the session.
Sibia?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you can continue.
Okay, yeah, I'm just trying to log into the toolkit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Program Director?
Sure, Chairperson.
Yes, maybe while Dr. Faisal trying to come back. There's a question here that in the message box, they're asking if the presentation will be shared among participants.
Okay, will you be able to share with us that recipe?
Definitely, I'll be able to share the presentation.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you still see my screen, right?
Not yet.
Not
We
yet.
cannot
Okay,
see it
let me
now.
share. I need to share this one.
And let us see that before there's another question here in the message box.
Okay.
I think it's that's Sandy. So I'm not sure if she can ask.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Let me go on and ask.
Let me just read the question for you, CB.
Okay.
He or she is saying, what is the first thing you do before cataloging?
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sandy, for the question. Like, say you are receiving a book and then you're supposed to catalog it. There is something called technical reading. Technical reading, it is basically looking for the areas of description in the book. For instance, I'd say, remember when you are cataloging in general, you are supposed to use the 8 but I feel conflicted because I know there are already 9 areas of description, but I'd say 8 areas of description of ISBD standard. So you take your book, you look for the author, you look for if the book is authored, you look if the book is has got a title, you check for all the details that are supposed to be checked. That process is called technical reading. So that is the first step you do when you are about to do your cataloging or your metadata kind of recording or recording information resources. After that, you need to identify the resources. Like in our case, we need the Rda Toolkit, obviously. We need to open the Mark 21 record so that we can be able to code information there. Then from there, you can start recording your information resource. I'm not sure if I've answered you correctly. That is Sandy. So, hey. Hello. Colleagues, are you still there?
Hello.
Yes, I was checking if the question was answered.
Yes, we are.
Yes, my question is answered. Thank you very much.
And excuse my misconception for Sandy,
No.
so you know,
Okay.
you know, I'm from the other part of the world, so such names are usually for guys. So that's why I was saying that. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. You are forgiven.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, colleagues, what I've shared here. Oh, are there any questions before I continue? I would assume that there is no question anymore. Okay. What I've opened here, it is called the Rda Toolkit. So I have used the UNISA access because like you need, your institution need to subscribe to Rda for you to be able to access it. Or maybe you can subscribe for individual access. But in my case, I won't afford to buy or to subscribe for individual access for Rda Toolkit. And besides that, why should I buy it if the institution has got access to it? So I would advise you to talk to your institutions to subscribe to this prestigious toolkit. It is very good. Maybe if you engage with it, you would see the beauty of it compared to Rta American Cataloguing rules. With Rda Toolkit, you need the link, you need to log in. After you've logged in, you can access a lot of information. You can get to this stage if you are just, if you decide, maybe if I send a link to you and then you try and access the link, the toolkit, you can get to this stage. But the problem is that even if you can get to this stage, you cannot access the rules. Maybe if I can show you an example. Yeah, if I can show you an example now, maybe say I want to access this toolkit and I go in here. Oh, okay. Doesn't want to give me. and I go in here, wanting maybe to access the ISBN, it will not respond. It will say provide the login details. So it means that I cannot access the rules until I provide the login details. So in our case, we can log in. Once it shows University of South Africa, now we can access whatever I want to access. As you can see now, I can read the rules and I can do whatever I want to do. Okay, now I want to take us through the process of accessing the Rda Toolkit. When one is accessing the Rda Toolkit, they need to know that there are 4 or even more areas of accessing this particular or navigating this particular toolkit. First of all, we have got the table of contents. The table of contents is this. You can go through this and try and access the table, the Rda Toolkit, navigate it for certain rules that you are looking for. Or if that is not, if you don't feel like you need to use this, you can always come here and search for whatever information you want to record at that particular point. Like maybe you want to record the ISBN, you can search ISBN. The search will give you the ISBN, and then you click on the rule that is used for recording the ISBN. Then it will take you to the particular rules. We are still going to do one book as part of our practical, but for now, I just want to show you how do we do it. How do we access the toolkit? Then again, you can access or you can navigate the toolkit by mappings. Rda mappings. You click here, there is Rda to mark bibliography, there is mark bibliography to Rda mapping. Then I don't like emphasizing much on the Rda to mark authority mapping, mark authority to Rda, Rda to modes mapping, because these ones, most institutions, they don't normally use them because they are for authority control purposes. Like for instance, if you want to assign, like say maybe there is a particular author who has written a book, and then that author is not authorized in a way, or is not, like when you search, the author doesn't appear. So you're supposed to write, you're supposed to record that particular author. So these particular rules, they apply mostly in such instances. But when you are doing your general cataloging, you need mark bibliography to Rda mapping or Rda to mark bibliography mapping. These are very easy. For me, I find the second one very easy to use because I already know the mark 21 text. So in that way, it becomes easy for me to trace or to map the Rda rules. Remember, with Mark 21 was there before Rda, so we have used Mark 21 before with Rta American Cataloguing rules. So we will know what is the tag number for ISBN, what is the tag number for due decimal classification number, for title, statement of responsibility, for creators, and so forth. So for me, I find this one, particularly this one, very easy to use because it will give you the tag numbers, it will give you the indicators, it will give you the subfield names, it will give you the Rda instructions or numbers, and then it will give you the Rda elements. Similar to this one, it will do the same thing, but the problem is that, as much as it is giving you the same thing, but start with the Rda rules, and sometimes you might find that you're not that familiar with the Rda rules, so it will give you a problem. And again, remember the Mark 21 text should be chronologically linked in a way, like we start with the smallest one going to the biggest number. Like we start with, if maybe we were to catalog a book, we'll start with the ISBN, which is a 020, and then we end with 900 for local for local details or local information. So with this, it becomes hard because the Rda rule may start with the title and statement of responsibility. So it becomes a problem for you to be able to organize the information accordingly. while it's so easy to follow the mark bibliography to Rda and American. Are we together?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Oh, okay, thank you. No, the reason I'm asking, I've never preached before, so it becomes a problem to to be a preacher in a classroom. In a classroom, we're supposed to engage. So I will try to make it as. Oh no, this person is calling us. Okay, let's see if we can get one example and see how do we go about. I'm just checking one book that is going to be our example today. Okay, class, I've got this particular book. I'm not sure if maybe we should just do a practical and I remove all them. I think I should just do that, because if I give you the answers, then we won't achieve the purpose of this class. Folks, then we have got this particular book. Then maybe say we are given this particular book for cataloging purposes in our class or in our workstations. So maybe is there anyone who would like to volunteer and give us a bit of technical reading, as I was trying to explain earlier on as to what is technical reading? Any volunteer?
Anyone, please?
Okay, it's fine. I'm going to take it. Okay, I hear so.
You were saying technical reading is you have to check the book, you check for the author of the book, the title, what's the ISBN, where the book was published in the publishers. Would I be right?
Yeah, that's basically what we are doing. Technical reading is finding those areas for description, for description or recording information resources. So I'd say for this particular book, what would be the author? Or the creator of the book?
Yes, Jamina.
Oh no, I wanted. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh no, at that time I wanted to do the technical reading, but it's okay. I can also tell the author of the book. It's Pilingani Sibia, I think.
Okay. What would be the title of the book?
Ukuzalwa kwenzima kwesinzima. Yes, that one.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, then, okay, thank you. We've got the publisher there, we've got the ISBN, we've got copyright date, we have got the QDesmart classification number. Here we have got the call number, we have got the dimensions of the book, we have got the series name, we have got the content notes, we have got the edition statement, and all that. But if maybe I can check with you colleagues, have you ever used Mark 21 before? Or I'm just assuming.
Anita, your mic is on and there's sound behind. Can you please switch off your mic? Good people, please switch on your mics when you want to answer the questions, ne? So that you don't disturb the recording. Mr. Sibia asked if you have used Mark 21 before. Anyone?
Class, or do you understand the mark text so that I don't assume and it won't serve the purpose of the session if we don't know the mark text?
Yes, there is a question, or is it a comment in the chats? Koloma Kola. Our good morning colleagues, can graphs and charts be recorded as illustrations? And they say yes. I'm not sure if she's saying yes, she has used Mark 21 before or what. Kolo fellow, can you switch on your mic and talk to us?
Okay. I'm not sure whether this yes is meant for answering the question above, but for me, I'd say yes. With RTA, I think you do the same thing because remember charts, they come in different formats. They come in picture, like they come in color and stuff. So you can record such as illustrations because illustrations is anything that is pictured in a way. So yeah, I'd say you can record charts and graphs as illustrations. Okay, then I will just take you through the practical session of how to record information resources using RTA. We said our book has got an ISBN. Just that I don't know how can I put both these screens here because we need to keep on referring to information on this particular document. And there's no way I'm going to do it because I still need to go to this one. Or maybe take pictures of this so that if we refer to it, it will be easy. On my side, I can always have it on the other screen. Okay, we said our book has got an ISBN. That is the first thing to record in a book because remember I said mark numbers, they start from the smallest to the biggest. So in our case, the smallest number we have, or the smallest area of recording we have is the ISBN. So we'll have to click here first and see how do we record the ISBN. Here we have it. The name or the field name, it will be the International Standard Book number. The tag number, it will be 020. The indicators will be undefined for the first position, and then for the second position, it will also be undefined. Then how do we record this information? We have got something called subfield codes. I don't know if maybe you have noticed when we were doing our theoretical part, we have indicated that there is something called delimiters or subfield codes that are made up of delimiters. Delimiters are made are codes and numbers of alphabets that denotes the information that needs to go to that particular subfield. For instance, subfield delimiter A, it means when you see when you write delimiter A in the Mark 21 record, the next thing that will follow, it will be your International Standard Book number, which is your ISBN. Delimiter C would be terms of availability. How is that resource available? How much does it cost in other cases? Like for instance, You find that the book is there, but then it costs $5 or five rands. So you're supposed to provide that information. Then delimiter Q, qualifying information. Qualifying information is basically about whether a book is a paperback, is it a digital copy or anything, but something that is qualifying that particular resources in terms of its characteristics. Is it a paperback, a digital resource, or sometimes they would say e-resource, something like that. Then after that, you have got examples. For ISBN, you can write International Standard Book Number, then you come up with the tag number. Indicators, they are always undefined. Then from there, you have got delimiter A, then the ISBN. I'm just showing you the example so that when we go to the rules on how to record this information, it will be easy for you to note. Then 020, undefined, ISBN, delimiter A, qualifying information is a paperback, qualifying information is a volume. Terms of availability, delimiter C, $5. So these are the examples of how to record this information in a MARC record or in MARC 21. Then now we need to get instructions as to how do you go about recording this information now on the MARC 21 record. So you need to click here. When you click here, you will have information on recording the ISBN. Firstly, they will give you the scope. What does this covers? Basic instructions on recording identifier for manifestation. Then you read through this, and then here they will give you a rule. This rule is about recording identifier for manifestation. This is basically about how do you record the information. Then they will tell you, they will refer you to certain rules. But basically, if you have read the scope and read here, you will know how to record this information. Then here, take an identifier for manifestation from any source. Like remember, in ISBN, a book will have so many places where, not so many places basically, where the ISBN is recorded. At the back of the book, you can get, at the back cover side of the book, you will get the ISBN. Title page, you will find an ISBN. Verso page, you can find an ISBN. So you can take an ISBN from any source within that particular book. Are we clear at last?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So now I just want to use this table now, so we can record this information for this particular book for the classes understanding. Say, okay, class. I'm going to leave the indicators. I'm going to leave them here, but I will explain what does this mean when we are doing it, because in the interest of time, it will take us so much time to write down all of this. But then we can only fill in this, but I'm going to explain what is already here for you to understand it better. As we said, this book has got an ISBN, right? This particular book. So what would be the ISBN of this book? I did indicate to you how do we record that information. As you can see here, there is 2.15.1.4. If you check here, the rule on how to record the ISBN, recording the identifier. This is the number or the name of the rule that we have used. We are only doing this for learning purposes. You don't have to do this when you are working in your institution. What is important for you to do is text, indicators, data elements. And you don't have to create a table. This particular table, in our case, it is only meant for learning purposes, because if you have got access to Mark 21, you just create a record, a Mark 21 record, then all these details will come in. It's either you add them or you delete them when you don't need them, but they are already there for you. So you don't need to create a table. This particular table, in our case, it is for learning purposes. I hope we do understand each other on that. So I would want to record the ISBN for this particular book. In our case, the ISBN is this one, is delimiter A 97884 and so on. The rule that we use to decide on the ISBN is this one. Maybe if I can give a brief maybe explanation of what are indicators. I'd say to you an indicator, it is the two position digit that indicates or supplements information that is going to go into the subfields or data elements. Like in our case, I will make an example with this one, which is the 082. With 082, the first 0 means that, okay, let's go through the Rda toolkit for you to understand it much easier. So if maybe I would take the 082 and make an example with it when we are talking about the indicators. The first indicator will indicate that we have used the full edition of Dewey Decimal Classification, or the average. Hello. There is a mic on. Okay, then the first position indicator will indicate the first indicator will indicate that we have used the full edition of Dewey Decimal Classification, or we use the averaged one, and or we have used the other editions which will be specified in the subfield number 2, delimiter 2. So this side, second indicator, source of classification number. The first one would be no information provided, 2 assigned by the Library of Congress, 4 assigned by agencies other than the Library of Congress. Okay, maybe I'd explain this. The 0 means there's this mic.
Somebody's mic is on. Can you please switch off your mics, good people? We don't want to take you out of this session.
Okay, thank you. Then we have got the second indicator. The second indicator will mean that the book came with the Library of Congress number in a way. Like, for instance, if you check your is it called the title page, I guess, you will find a Library of Congress number already assigned there. So in that case, you're supposed to provide the indicator as 0. But in cases whereby you find that maybe there is no call number, so you decide, or you build the call number as a librarian or as a cataloger, what you do, you're supposed to provide an indicator as 4. So whoever is checking the record will know that this particular call number was not provided by the Library of Congress, but it was provided by who? The librarian other than the Library of Congress cataloger. Say maybe UNISA has provided a particular, came up with the call number. So the indicator there will not be 0, but it will be 4. So as I move on, I just wanted to explain the indicators so that maybe when we do them, it will be easy for you to understand. Okay, then we have got the second part of recording for this particular book. What cataloging source are we going to use to catalog this particular book? Any volunteer as far as that is concerned? terms of instructions, what cataloging source are we using? Class or colleagues? Any idea of the cataloging source that we are going to use to catalog this particular resource? Or I'd say any idea? Oh, okay. I indicated earlier on that we have been cataloging using Rta, Rta American Cataloguing rules, but now with the introduction of Rda, then we moved to Rda. So in our case, for cataloging this particular resource, we are going to use Rda. So we need to see how do we, in terms of rules, you just go straight to the rules that are applicable in this, there are non-applicable. So it means that even in your, you don't have to worry about the rules that you are going to use because they are not applicable. So you need to go to the cataloging here, to Mark 21 and click here. And then you need to see how to record this particular area on Mark 21. 040 cataloging source. The first position is undefined, the second position is also undefined. So subfield codes, delimiter A, original cataloging agents, who cataloged this particular resource. Delimiter B, language of cataloging, what language was used. Delimiter C, transcribing agency, which agency was transcribing this for that particular source, and then modifying agency. Like, you know, in most cases we do copy cataloging. So when we're about to do copy cataloging, maybe UNISA is doing the copy cataloging, the modifying agents need to be filled in there. Then delimiter E, describing conventions. In this case, most of the information in terms of this was not provided. One, original cataloging agents was not provided. Two, language of cataloging was not provided. Three, transcribing agency was not provided. Modifying agency was not provided. But what we know is delimiter E, cataloging source. In our case, cataloging description conventions, which is in our case, it is the Rda toolkit. So delimiter E, Rda. Remember, when you are doing this, please ensure that you pay attention to delimiters or subfield codes. Because if you are going to say delimiter A here and say Rda, the system will just read it as a cataloging agency rather than reading this as description conventions. What these codes, the delimiters, they tell the system of what information is going to be keyed in that particular area. Like, for instance, if you were to say delimiter Q here and you write the ISBN, the system will say, will read that as qualifying information. So you need to ensure that the subfield codes are written correctly. I hope we do understand each other on that note. Okay. Okay, then we need to move on to the next area of description. In our case, the next area of description is what it will be, the Dewey Decimal Classification number. In our book, the Dewey Decimal Classification number is already provided as 821.914. I know that we are catalogers here, so this number may not be correct, but then here it was written for learning purposes, for description purposes, not for really that we were concerned about it being correct or not, but we just want to ensure that we've got a number that will go to the Rta American, that will go to Dewey Decimal Classification area in this particular record. So in this case, what you do, Again, you go back to your Rda toolkit, which is here. Once you are in the toolkit, you click, and then after clicking, you go to 082. 082 is here. It is for Jewish decimal classification number. Is there any rule that is applicable? No, there is no rule applicable. So what you need to know is how do you record this information. So what you do, you click here. Once you have got this information, once you have got this information, you need to see how to record this information. Firstly, decimal classification number, first indicator, and then the second indicator. First indicator, full edition. I've explained this to you, class. Like, you have your first indicator. The first indicator will mean that, like in our case, we are always using the full edition of Jewish decimal classification. So we always tell our students to use 0 as the first indicator. The second indicator, in our case, we always use. Oops. Am I missing something? Hello? Okay, class, I'm continuing. Okay, then the second indicator will be your information indicating who provided the Jewish decimal classification number. There are instances whereby there is no information provided, but in your case, you already know that most of our books, they are done by local catalogers. So in that way, a certain agent has provided the Jewish decimal classification number. So that's why we use 4 as a second indicator. So now we need to know about subfield codes. Delimiter A for classification number, delimiter B for item number, delimiter M for standard optional designation, then delimiter Q assigning agency. Addition information, delimiter 2, delimiter 6 linkages, delimiter 8 we have got fit link and sequence numbers. But in our case, we don't have all that information, but what we have got the Jewish decimal classification number, and we know that we used the Jewish decimal edition number 23 to catalog our books. That's what we use at UNIS. I'm not sure about your institution, but in your institution, if you're using another version, you can always provide that information. So what we are going to do, we are going to have delimiter A, and then we need to look for the class number. I mean, for the class number, then we need to, you can copy it if you want to. And then after that, you need to provide which edition was used. In our case, it is delimiter 223. Are we clear at last?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Then now there is this call number or shelf number information. Like, for instance, when you are cataloging a book, the ultimate, when you are classifying or you are providing subject access to a book, the ultimate goal is to be able to provide a call number, isn't it? So in our case, we do have the call number. It was indicated here that the call number for this particular book will be 822.914. Is there anyone who want to tell me where did we get this SIP?
SIP is the first 3 letters of Sibia.
Okay, thank you so much. So let's say if it was not Sibia, say maybe the book was edited, what was going to be there?
It will be the 3 letters of the title.
Thank you so much. That is lovely. So yeah, the 3 letters that are provided there, they are for the main access point. Like in our case, the main access point, it is the author. In our case, the author is Sibia there. So that's why we have got the ISB, the SIB. But if it was a book that is written by a corporate body, it was going to be the 3 letters of that particular corporate body. But, or else maybe if it was edited by someone, then in that case, it was going to be 3 letters of the title, because the book doesn't have really ownership. So not really ownership, but I'd say it is not created by an individual or a team of people that own the book. So that's why we have got SIP there. So in our case here, for the local number, then we're supposed to go to the Rda Toolkit as usual. We let me close this, it's getting too much. So we go to our Rda Toolkit, we look for 900. It depends. In our institution, we use 092 for recording the local number, but here they say 090090091. But in our case, we use 092. So we will have 092 there for local number, and then again we copy our, where is this thing? We copy our call number here. We copy it and paste it. So we have got our call number. We said the rule that is used for cataloging, it is not applicable based on the Rda Toolkit. Are we together, class? Can I move on, or any questions before I move?
Yes, move on, please.
Okay, thank you. Then the next part will be, we said our book is authored, right? So if it is authored or it has got the creator, then it means it is here in the 100s. So the creator, here is the rule for us for recording a creator of a book. So you click on the rule first, and then it gives you the information on how do you record this information. So you read through this, and then we'll get to a point where it says recording creator. Then it gives you examples on how to record a creator. Once you have this information, then you can go to the Mark 21 and see how to record this information. In our case, our Mark 21 is here. Then you click on this 100 personal name. Then it will give you information on how to record this. 100 main entry personal name. First indicator, if you are using a forename, then the first indicator will be 0. If you are using the surname, it will be 1. If you are using the family name, it will be 3. In our case, then the second indicator would be undefined. In our case, we have put the first indicator is 1, the second indicator is undefined. The reason why we have got the first indicator is 1, it is because here we are going to have Sibia, which is the last name, as the entry for the personal name. And then after that, we need to provide a description for Sibia as to what role does Sibia play in this. So as you can see here, the first indicator, personal name, second, the first subfield, delimiter A, personal name, second, the Delimiter B, which is the second entry, would be the enumeration. Delimiter C, titles and weights associated with the name. Delimiter D, date associated with the name. Like, you look for information that is provided in that particular resource when you are recording. In our case, we have got only the personal name, and we know that Sibiya is an author of this book or the creator of this book. So we are going to have the relator term and the personal name. So we have delimiter A and delimiter E. The other information is not provided, so we cannot record information that is not provided. So we are going to have delimiter A. We are going to have delimiter A and delimiter E. Then here are the examples if you want to see how to record this particular information. So we are going to have a comma. Remember, punctuation and cataloging is very important. So you're going to have a comma, delimiter E. Then we say author. Or maybe in this case, we can say creator. Are we together, class?
I'm still here.
Yes.
I don't know about others.
We are.
Okay, thank you. Let me move on. The next part will be your statement of responsibility, statement of responsibility, title statement of responsibility area. In this area, you need to provide the title of the book, the subtitle of the book, any information that relates to the title of that particular book. So I will do it this way. We start by looking here at our book. What information do we have regarding this particular book? We have got the title, and then we have got the statement of responsibility. So if we have got this information, what we need to do is to go here, and we know that the title and statement of responsibility is under 245 here. If you don't know where the information is or what tag number represented information, you can always read here. Sorry, you can always read here. The information will be provided there, so you will know where to find what and where. Like, for instance, we know that the title and statement, we are looking for title and statement of responsibility according to the 9 areas of the IGBIS standard. So you need to go there. As you can see, title statement. If you are looking for information on the main title or proper title, this is where you click. You click here, and then it gives you the information on how to record the title proper. So you can read through until you get the rule that talks about recording the title proper. In my case, here is the rule. So I've written it here to facilitate the ease of learning. So we have got it here. Then you need to check another rule. As we said, we have got the statement of responsibility here. You need to check the rule that talks about the statement of responsibility. Again, you need to go back to your Rda Toolkit, and then you look for information on the statement of responsibility. As you can see here, statement of responsibility relating to the title proper. Here it is. So you click on that particular rule, and then it will tell you how to record the statement of responsibility relating to the title. Here is the rule, so you write it as it appears. I want to believe that we are still together, class. So we will have the title. We will have the title, and then we delimiter A, we paste it here. Oops. Then we have ukuzalwa kwensizwa. And then after that, we need to write a statement of responsibility. The book is written by Philangani. Class, are we still together?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Then I'll have to explain the indicators for this particular part. The indicators here, let me go in here so it will be easy to understand. The indicators for title and statement of responsibility are like this. We've got the first indicator, no added entry, title added entries, right? Then the second part, which is not the second, I mean, on the same indicator, first position, the second option will be when we have got an edit, the title will be an edit entry. So we need to write 1. So what happened? Like in our book has got a creator or an author. So in that way, we know that the title automatically will be an edit entry. So we need to write 1. But say maybe the book didn't have a title as an edit entry. In that case, we're going to have 0. So we won't have the 105th. So in our case, our book has got Mr. Sibia as the author. So that's why we have got 1 there. So second indicator, I mean, non-filing characters. Non-filing characters are characters that you cannot use for filing. In most cases, we refer to them, I mean, we have got the most examples that I use are articles like N, A, V. Those articles, you cannot use them for filing purposes. So in cases whereby a title starts with the, you're supposed to have non-filing characters or indicators representing non-filing characters. Or we have got something like a title start with a boy or a girl, then there you have got non-filing characters. In our case, our book is ukuzalwa kwensizwa. Do we have any non-filing characters here?
No, we don't have.
We don't have. So in this case, we will have 0 as the second indicator because we don't have non-filing characters. Are we clear at last on how to record the title and statement of responsibility area?
There's a question on the chat box, Dr. CB. But what would happen if there was an editor?
There was an editor. Okay, it would mean that the book doesn't have an author. So it means that we won't have this 100 area. Rather, we will have 200. So 245. And then we won't have 1 as an indicator here. We'll have 0 because the title would not be an edit entry because it is the main entry. Then the editor will go to 700 as edit entries or edit access points. Answered?
Okay. Yes, the person is satisfied. Thank you.
Okay. Then I'm moving on to the next one. Then we have got the addition statement there. Let me just close this one. These ones. We have got the addition statement. Again, it's up to you. If you know the mark checks, you can shoot straight to 250 because we know that the addition statement or imprint statements are in the 250s to 280s. So in our case, we are looking for addition statement. Addition statement is there. Addition statement, the rule is there, this designation of addition. So you first check the rule. It will tell you how to record this information, recording designation of addition, like it is written here. You write it as it appears in the resource. Then after that, you need to click on the mark 21. Then it will tell you how to record this information. Firstly, you have got 250 as a check number, first indicator undefined, second indicator undefined. This means that always when you are recording this area, you will find the the two areas, they will be undefined. Always, you won't find one or two anywhere here because these areas, they are undefined. So then you need to know how to record this information or the data elements. You will have delimiter A, addition statement, delimiter B, remainder of addition statement, delimiter 3, material specific, material specified, then link delimiter C, then we have got delimiter 8 as field, link, or sequence. When we were reading the RDA rule, it was specified that you write it as it appears in the resource. So here are the examples if you want to explore examples. In our case, we need to go back here and check if this particular book has got an edition statement. Here is this edition statement of our book. It is special edition. So how do you record this information? You are going to have delimiter A and then you write special edition.
Mr. Sibia,
Yes.
there is a question in the chats in terms of statement of responsibility. They're saying, is it necessary to write by?
On the second indicator.
Okay.
Okay, it's not a problem. I can answer that by going through the Rda Toolkit statement of responsibility, right? Statement of responsibility. You can just go in here and check. See, examples by edited with an introduction. Write it as it appears on the resource. So in our case, we had by Mr. Sibi, as you can see.
You sorted majorly?
Yes, thank you. I'm sorted.
Okay, thank you. Then
okay, thanks.
Can move on. Okay, so now we have got the edition, special edition. Okay, what is applicable here? We have written that. Now we need to move on to the publication or distribution details. In that case, we need to check first what we have. Do we have the place of publication? I will answer myself, yes. Durban is the place of publication. Do we have the publisher? Yes, we have got Rta there as the publisher. Then when was it published? Which is the date of publication? That was in 2021. And the book is copyrighted. So what we do here, we need to go to the Rta Toolkit as well. We click on it, Rta, then we go to, remember the publication, distribution, or production details area is made up of 3 areas. 1, it would be your place of publication. 2, it would be your publisher. Then 3, the date of publication. So we need to go there and get that information. Remember, as you can see here, there are still 260s. These 260s were applicable when we are going to record information resources using Anglo-American cataloging rules. But when you are using RDA, we need to see 264s. Are we clear, class? So here, as you can see, this area covers a lot of things like production, publication, distribution, and manufacture. In our case, we are not dealing with production. We are not dealing with parallel places of production. So we are looking for information on the publication, not production. So we will start here. Place of publication, we click here, we check the rule. What does the rule say about recording information resources for places of publication? So 2.8.2.3, it tells you about how to record this information. Then on the same note, you need to check, you write down the rule, or you use the rule if you are cataloging, like for the organization, you have got to write down that information. 2, say maybe you want to, where is it? You want to look for a publisher's details or name of the publisher. You click here, it will take you straight to the publishers. How do you record the publisher's name? As you can see here, here are the examples. You write down or you record that particular information, and then you look for the next area of description, which is the date. Again, you go to the date of publication. This date of distribution. We need the date of publication. Date of publication here it is. We click on it, then it tells you how to record that information. Now we need to see examples on Mark 21 on how to record this information. It's simple here. You just go into this, and then it will tell you exactly how to record this information. Firstly, it gives you the tag number, the name of the field, and then after that, it tells you about the indicators. The first indicator, not applicable, no information provided, which is undefined. I always prefer this one because it just makes things easy for me. Then intervening, delimiter 2, current or latest, delimiter 3. So in our case, we always use this one because there is no information provided in most cases. Then after the second indicator tells the system whether what you are dealing with is a production, a publication, distribution, manufacture, or copyright notice date. In our case, we are dealing with a publication, so we will have the indicator as 1, the second indicator. So it means here we will have the first indicator is undefined. That's how I prefer it from my side, but maybe when you read it further, you will want to use intervening, or you want to provide delimiter 3 as current or latest version of that particular source. But in my case, I always say, let's just say there is no information provided, and then we use undefined. Then in our case, we are dealing with a publication. This is not a production. This is not something that has been manufactured. It is not a distribution. We don't have any information on distribution. So we are going to say delimiter A, and then we provide the information that we are looking for. So in this case, the book was published where in Devon. Who published the book? It was Rta. When was it published? It was 2021. Remember, punctuation is very important in this when dealing with this. So we need to check how do we punctuate this information. So you can see here, if we take one example, delimiter A, Boston, colon, delimiter B, publisher, then comma, the date of publication. So let's check ours, what is missing. In our case, we don't have the comma there before the comma before the date of publication. So say the book has got the, okay. Let's say maybe a book has got copyright notice date, like our book here. Here is our book. It has got copyright notice date. You're supposed to add another area, 264 area that is going to talk about copyright notice date. Then what you do, you click on the Rda Toolkit. Then you look for something on copyright notice date. Here it is. You click on the rules. It will tell you how to record the information. Then you go on by recording. So here it is. In my case, I've written it here just to ensure that for someone who wants to check how do we do it, or which rule did we use to record the copyright notice date, they can easily go and check the particular rule. So in our case, we check, and then after we have noticed that this is how we record this information, then we need to go back to the Rda Toolkit. Where is this thing? We go back to the Rda Toolkit, and we check how do we record the copyright notice date. We click here, it will tell you that for copyright notice date, the indicator will be 4, and then copyright notice date will be under delimiter C because it is the date. So we are going to have delimiter C, then we say 2020. I hope we are still cruising together. Okay, I'm moving to the next area of description, which is describing the Is this thing, which is describing the carriers. Okay, before I get there, I just want to ensure that we don't have anything that is going to disturb us on our record. A second. Okay, class. So we need to talk about now the physical description or describing the carrier's information. So in this case, we need to check what do we have there. Remember the area of I'd refer to it in the, I'm still stuck in the Rta American Cataloguing rules, ways of naming things. Like the physical description area is composed of the page numbers, the illustrations, illustrative details, and then what else? The dimensions. I'm not sure if I've named all of them, but basically in our book we've got that. We do have the page numbers. The page numbers, they start from 4 to Roman figure 4 to page 50 to 50 pages, and then it has got illustrations in a form of photographs, and then the size of the book is 22 centimeters. So class, are we still together? Can I go into the Rda Toolkit and show you how do we do that? I hope I can. Okay, so in the Rda Toolkit, what we do, we need to look for information on the extent of the book. So we just come here, look for we look for the size of the book in terms of pagination. So we click here. This would be the longest one to browse because extent comes in different forms. Like you can see here, it's a microfilm cassette and all that, but we are looking for a volume because a book comes as a volume. So we need to go down until we reach the rules on how to record volumes. So for someone who's not familiar about this, it becomes a problem because they need to ensure that they spend so much time in reading this. But if you can see here, single volume with numbers, with numbered pages, leaves, or columns, here basically is the rule. So you need to read here and see which one will be applicable for you. Is it A, B, C, D, and stuff? But looking at the book that you have in your hand, you just decide as to what is that you need to do. Then you provide the rule, you read, and then after that, here are the examples on how to record this information. Then after that, you record. Then again, you go back to the Rda Toolkit. In our book, we notice that it has got illustrative matters. You look for the rule on how to record illustrative matters. Then you click on it. It tells you exactly how to do that information. Like here, recording illustrative content, coat of arms, facsimile, forms, general geological tables, graphs, illuminations. Remember, someone asked me about graphs. Here it is, maps, photographs, and so forth. All that information forms part of illustrative matters. So you need to record that information according to rule 7.15.1.3. So again, you go back to your Rda Toolkit, you look for the rule. We said we have got dimensions in our record, in our book. So we need to click here and see how do you record dimensions. So in this case, dimensions of carriers, recording the dimensions, then it tells you the rule. Then you look for that particular one that talks about things like volumes or books. Then you go down looking for that until you get a rule that is going to tell you about recording resources, recording this information. So in this case, we have got volumes, and then this is how it is recorded. It will also tell you how do you do it if maybe it is recorded in a form of a number with commas. Okay, sorry about that. Someone was looking here, no, working from home. Yeah, so yeah. Okay, then the next phase, you will have to go back to your Rda toolkit now, and then you click on how to record this information. These are the examples of how this information is recorded. Just know that both indicators in the Mark 21 record, they are always undefined. So in such cases, you go on and record the information the way it is shown here: delimiter A, the extent, delimiter B, physical details, your illustrative matters with Rda, delimiter C, dimensions, accompanying materials, delimiter E. Say maybe a book has got, what do we say? It has got a CD or a DVD, then that is considered as accompanying material. Then delimiter F, type of units, and you name it until you get there. But for me, in our case, we don't have most of these things. We have got three things: delimiter A, delimiter B, and delimiter C. So how do you record this information? You go in here, and then after that, let me just have this here so that I can type it properly. We will have delimiter A. Delimiter A, we said our book has got Roman figure 1 to 50 pages. Remember, we said with Rda, with Anglo-American cataloging rules, we used to have so many abbreviated or shortened versions of names. So with Rda, we write it as it appears. We check there, it says Roman figure 4 to 50 pages. So it didn't say piece. So that's why I'm writing it in full. So illustrative matters, you check, how do you write it? So you write illustrations. Sorry. Illustrations. And then we have got the colon. Then we say delimiter C. The dimensions of the book, we said the book is 22 centimeters in terms of the size. Class, are we still together?
Yes, and that is, we are sorry to stop you. Under Tech 245, there's a question. They want to know if there's a subtitle. How do we then write it?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, then that I'm going to answer now. If the book has got a subtitle, you need to go back here into the Rda toolkit. Everything is provided for you. Like if you go to 264, 265, 245, I mean, you will see 245 title and statement of responsibility. Title proper is provided. Say maybe a book has got a parallel title, the rule is here. Other title information, that will be your subtitle because it is called other title information with Rda. So you click here, it will give you the rule on how to record the other title information. Maybe if you can go back to our example here and check. Our example has got delimiter A, the main title, and then you just jump to delimiter C. It doesn't have delimiter B. Delimiter B was supposed to be a subtitle if maybe we did have it in our resource, but in our resource we didn't have a subtitle. Maybe say here it was going to say then the board rise. I'm just making a simple example. Say maybe this was going to be our subtitle. In this case, we're going to visit this rule, this one, other title information. And then it tells us how to record the information on the on this particular one. And then in that case, once we have got that, then we're supposed to record that information. So what we do here, we go into this and check how to record. You see here, delimiter P, remainder of title. This has got two synonyms, or three, I'd say. There is a remainder of title, subtitle, or the other one, they call it remainder or other title information. So there are three names you can use to name this. So you are going to have this information, and then you write it here, delimiter B, and then you write the rise of a Zulu. Rise of a Zulu. Of a Zulu. Wow. Then you will have, then we check punctuation. How do we punctuate this information? It's /, here is / delimiter C by Pilanganis B. So this is how you write information on the subtitle. Then if maybe it was for max purposes, but then it's not important in this case, but say it was for that, you were going to have this rule. Where is it? This rule recorded there, recording other title information 2.3.4.3. I hope that helps. Can I move on now?
Yes, I have a suggestion, good people. If Mr. Sibia is done with one of areas, I suggest that we ask questions while he's still at that area before he moves on to the other.
Okay. That will help, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, so here basically we're talking about the physical description or describing the carriers of a particular resource. This particular resource has got these page numbers, illustrations are there. Then we have got the diameters or the size of this particular resource. Then we move on to the next level. Class.
Sorry, just at your illustrations, you must have your subfield B. You didn't indicate, and I think in the previous one, just go up again.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, your subfield B with Juta.
Ma'am?
You don't have your subfield B there, you just a Juta. You hear me?
Delimiter.
Yeah,
This
your
one.
delimiter. Yeah, your delimiter.
Okay. Okay.
No, yeah, by that one and at 264 also.
264 delimiter P. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. The typo, you know. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So that if we share the slides are correctly done. So now we need to move on. I'd like to draw your attention into the three areas that we spoke about that have been added within the 300 area of Mark 21 with the introduction of RTA. The 336, 337, 338. These three areas, they basically describe the format or the nature of a particular resource that we are describing. Like for instance, in our case, we are talking about textual information, which usually are books, journals, encyclopedias, anything that is not mediated, that you need to read using maybe that you can read with your naked eyes. That is not okay. That is not mediated in a way, like books. So in our case, we need to go to 336. We need to go in here. Then we look for 336. Oops. 336, it says content term. So we need to know how to record information on the content term. Click here. Once you have clicked here, tells you recording content type. what kind of content are we dealing with? Is it textual? Is it computational program, data set, 3-dimension? In our case, a book, it is text. So we need to write it as text. So we are going to provide it as text. So how do we record this information? We go back to the Rda Toolkit, we click on 336, it will tell us how to record the information of this. The first part of the indicators, both indicators are undefined. The first subfield is delimiter A, content type, delimiter B, content type code. Then delimiter 0, delimiter 1, all of these are not important until delimiter 2, where we provide the source, or yes, then delimiter 3 and all that. So we just check here. Delimiter A, performed music, delimiter 2, Rda content. So what we do here, we will have text, then Rda content. The rule that was used, if maybe I can draw your attention back to it, it was this particular rule. It was 6.9.1.3 recording content type. Then we used B because text is under B. Here it is. That's why we are saying Rda text. Then what did we use there? It is Rda content. So we move on to the carrier, to the 337. Again, with 337, what you do, you go to the Rda Toolkit, you check here, you go to 337, you first check the rule, you click on the rule, then after you, oh, I don't know what's going on. Let's just wait for it, maybe it will give us the content. Go back and try to be as fast as possible. Long classes may kill the soul. Okay, then we need to check 337, 337, 337. Here it is. So we click here, we get the rule on how to record this area. Yeah, there we have got the rule. So it's B, the media type that applies to the most. Then we have got this particular resource, it is unmediated because it's just a book from the library which you can read manually, so it is unmediated. So what we do here, we take this one, the unmediated one, which is 3.2.1.3, and then B. That is the rule we are going to use. So what we do now, we just go in here. Where's this thing here? Then we say unmediated Rda media. So we can always check how to record information here. Just to save your time, you can go in here and then you can always check here how to record the information. It's easier that way because you can see examples on how you record the information you are looking for. Media type. Okay, both areas are undefined. Then media type, media code. We don't have media codes. They are not provided in this record. So it's going to be media type term. Then we've got the source, which is Rda media. So we continue to the next area of description. In our case, the next area of description will be the 338 area. Again, here you start by checking the rule that is applicable. It tells you how to record this information. This one, it is unmediated, so you need to go to unmediated carriers. They are card, flip chart, object, roles, sheets, and then volumes. Then in our case, a book is a volume. So we are going to have volume. So it's going to be like this. We are going to have delimiter A, volume, then Rta. So we can always go back here and check how we do this. How did we get there? How did we arrive at that? We can always click on 338. When we click on 338, we see both areas of description are undefined. Then this is what is it? This is basically what you do. Delimiter A, carrier type, we know that it is a volume. Then delimiter 2, a source of this particular resource, of recording, it was Rta carrier. So these are the examples, as you can see here. I am moving on to the next area of description. If there are questions, I would lovely take them. I want to believe there is nothing. I am trying to finish off this session. Then we have got the second, the 490. The 490, it is the series name. So do we have a series name for this particular resource? Yes, we do. The name of the series, it is Isintu Setu, eThekwini issue number 3. This book has got indexes and won the best prize of children's literature in isiZulu language in 2022. This book comprises of topics like Siyini Isintu, Ubunsizwa, Ubuqaba. So basically, this particular book has got a series. So we go to the Rda Toolkit, we look for 490 series statement, 490 series statement, then 490 title of a series, then you click here. It will tell you exactly how to record this information. Recording title of a series. Record a title of a series by applying the basic rules or instructions in 2.3.1. So you can go there and check how to record that information. Then there are examples here which can help you record the series statement. And these are the examples. So you can always, this is the particular rule, you can write that this is the rule you used for recording the title of the series. So after doing this, you can always go back to your Rda Toolkit, click on the series, and then see how to record this. First indicator, series tracing policy. 0, series not traced. 1, series traced. If maybe you are able to trace the series, then you can always say 1 is your indicator, or 0 if it is untraceable. Then the second indicator is always undefined. Then series statement, Library of Congress call number, volume or sequence designator, international standard series, and then incorrect ISSN if it has got an incorrect ISSN, and then cancelled ISSN, material specified linkages field, and so forth. So here are the examples of how to write this. Say maybe the series is traceable. Uniform title report, then Washington, DC. Want to believe that our very own series, it is untraceable because we don't have any information that any information provided as to other previous holdings that the library may have regarding this particular series. So here the indicator would be 0. Then we check how do we write this particular series. Here is the way of coding this information. In our case, you write the title of the series, and then you can put in bracket the location of this particular series. So we are going to have, where is this? We are going to have delimiter A. What is the name of our series? It is called Isintu Setu. This is the name of the series. Oh, Need to copy this, and then you can just paste it here. This into say 2, and then from there, this particular series has got volumes. Does it have a volume or an issue? Let me just check here. It has got an issue, not a volume. So we're not sure about the volume. So we are just going to give only the issue. The issue of the series is 3, because as you can see here, this is how we record this information. We provide the volume if it is applicable. Like you can see here, it's volume 27 of issue number 50. So punctuation that we're supposed to use here, it is the the punctuation that we are supposed to use here. We can say dash to indicate that we have got only the issue, the volume is not there. So, and then we can provide in brackets, confine space, and then we say eThekwini. This is the place where the series was published. So basically, this is how we write this area. So all of this, it is guided by the Mark 21 record and also the Rda instructions. Then we need to check what we have there. We have got the index node, because this particular resource has got indexes. Again, you go back to your Rda toolkit, you go to Rda, you go to Rda, and then you go to 504, because index or bibliographic notes, they are recorded under this particular area. You check the rule on how to record supplementary in content. You click on it, it will tell you how to record this information. Once it has provided, as you can see, here are the examples. If the book has got indexes, then you're supposed to record it using rule 7.16.1.3. So this is the rule I'm going to use to record this information. Just in our case, our book has got only indexes. So you are going to write include indexes, like the example here. As you can see, include index, but I've coded this information incorrectly. So we need to include index. Then after that, this particular resource has got content nodes. So in that node, as you can see, the content nodes start with where is it? Sini, Sintu, Ubunsizwa, and Ubuqaba. So we need to record these contents here. Okay, before we get there, okay, we need to go to the Rda toolkit and see how do we record this information. So on that note, you go in here, you click on the that particular note we're talking about. In this case, these notes are formatted content notes. So we click on the role, how do we write that information? So is this the correct one? So let me just go back here. Related works. Okay, it's not a problem. Okay, it's 505 formatted content nodes, content. Okay, let me just go in here. Yes, I think this is it. Then you check how to record this information. Once you see how the information is recorded, you can always go back to the Rda toolkit, click on that particular tag number. It will take you directly to the information that is supposed to be on how to record a particular information. In this case, as you can see, the first indicator, display content controller, contents, incomplete contents, partial contents, no display, content generated, constant generated. So in this case, our nodes, we know that there is no information provided whether it is complete or incomplete, but we would assume that the contents are complete. The contents are complete. So we'll have 0 as the first indicator. Second indicator, these contents, they are basic. So the second indicator will be undefined. So we will have 0 as the first indicator and the hash as the second indicator, because we know that our contents are basic. So what we do thereafter, we need to copy our contents from the record, or you write them. But in my case, just to save time, I'm going to copy them and paste them where they are supposed to go. So they go here, into set 2. The second one is Ubunsizwa. Copy and you paste it where it's supposed to go. And then the last one will be Ubuqaba. Then we are done here. This is how we record this information. Then after that, we did notice that this particular resource has got an award. The author of the resource won an award, which says won the best prize of children's literature in isiZulu language in 2022. Again, we need to check how to record the award information into the MARC record. So you go down into 586, if I'm not mistaken, that where you find information about the award. So you can see award notes. You see the rule, you click on the rule, it takes you straight to the particular rule that you use when describing the award. As you can see here, these are the examples of how to record American Library Association Stonewall Book Award for Nonfiction, 2002. This is an example. So in our case, we check our book says that the author won an award in Best Prize for Children's Literature in isiZulu language. So this is the name of the award. So we take the name of the award, we kind of like paste it here. It's up to you whether you paste it or Best Prize of Children's Literature in isiZulu language. Then when was it? It was in 2022. So we are done here. Then we come back here now. We need to know about subject access. Subject access, did we get any information on what this book is about? The classification, the subject is literature in isiZulu language. So you need to copy this. This is the subject of this particular resource. Again, what you do, you need to go to the Rda Toolkit, look for the relevant tag number, geographic subdivision. In our case, you can just click here and see which rule is applicable for this particular subject. So again, you read and see what rule is there, but in our case, this is geographic subdivisions. So our book will be written like this. We go in here, we click on this one, it gives us the way it is written. So the first indicator will be undefined, no information provided. Second indicator, no level specified. 1 primary, 2 secondary. In our case, there is no information provided. We don't know specifically, but as a cataloger, you can always work around that. But in this case, there is no level provided. I mean, there is no level provided or no information provided. So maybe we say that there is no level specified on. So it's going to be 0. So if we say it is for primary, then we say 1. If it is for secondary, we say 2. But I prefer that we take undefined because there is no information provided. So you are going to say here delimiter, I mean undefined. Then the second indicator, you go back to this Mark 21, then you check. Thesaurus, if you have used the Library of Congress, it's going to be 0. If you have used the Library of Congress subject headings for children's literature, it's going to be 1. If it's going to be medical subject headings and so forth, then you decide on any number there. depending on what thesaurus did you use for providing the subject access. In our case, in most cases in the library, we didn't specify firstly, there is no information provided whether the book is for children or not for children, beside the award that we see that the book won an award for children's literature, but it is not specific that the book is for children. So we can take undefined and then we say we use the Library of Congress subject headings, as most libraries are using the Library of Congress subject headings for cataloging their collection. So we can always, for now, we can use 0 as an indicator because we assume that the Library of Congress was used as a subject headings thesaurus that were for cataloging this particular book. So the other thing, we know that isiZulu is mostly spoken in South Africa. So we will know that this book will have a geographic subheading. In that way, geographic, like when we are using Mark 21, you would know that it has got a geographic subheading. If you check here, there are subdivisions. So geographic subdivision, in most cases, not in most cases, they are written under delimiter Z, which is, in our case, it will be South Africa. I hope that is understood. So the next part, this one is not applicable in this particular resource because we said the resource, what do we call it? The series is not traceable. So we know we are not going to have this one. Basically, this is the end of this practical example. So if there are questions, I'd love to take them.
That is me.
Yes, ma'am.
There's a question from Benita. Ori, why do we write whatever, not issue 3, as you said, we transcribe as it is written in the book, field 490?
I'm not sure if I'm getting the correct, ma'am. Okay, let me just check the question here.
Like
Why
in the
do we
chat.
Oh, V3, not issue 3. Oh, okay, okay. I think it, as I said to you earlier on class, that with me, the problem is that I've used Rta American Cataloguing rules for a longest time. So now sometimes I make such mistakes when I'm doing cataloging, but that is not an excuse because with cataloging, details and accuracy are supposed to be done accordingly. So you are correct. We're supposed to write it as issue 3 because this -3 or -3, it was most applicable when we were using Rta American Cataloguing rules. Thank you so much. I need to fix it before we move on. Yeah, sorry. Issue 3. Okay. Is there any question? Okay, I see that if I can visit field 082. Okay, that is fine. I will do that. Okay, field 082 is basically for Dewey Decimal Classification number. One, you must understand that Dewey Decimal Classification number doesn't have any rule specifically from RDA that describes how to record or that directs us on recording this particular information resource. Hence, we have got NA there. So you need to go in here. Once you are here, you will see that this, okay, the mark record consists of a tag, the field name, which in this case is Dewey Decimal Classification number. Then we have got tag indicators, the first indicator and the second indicator position. The first indicator, say maybe will tell you about the edition of Rta decimal classification that you have used in cataloging your resources. Like for instance, if you have used the full edition of Rta decimal classification, in that case, you are going to use 0 as an indicator. And then if maybe you have used, like most cases, school libraries, they will use the abridged edition of Rta decimal classification. They are going to use 1 as the first indicator. Say maybe you didn't use the full or the abridged edition of Rta decimal classification, you used others, then you are going to have to use 7 as your indicator. But in most cases, in most libraries in South Africa, we use the full edition of Rta decimal classification, hence we have got 0 there. Then with the second indicator position, that where we have got the source of classification number. Where did we get the classification number? Did we build it ourselves, or a certain agent built that particular class number, or there is no information provided? But in our case, we know that Mr. Sibia is the one who's providing examples of classification numbers to our records. So we cannot use 0 there for Library of Congress, but we can use 4 because we know it is an agent outside the Library of Congress that has provided the Dewey classification number. I'm not sure if you have understood that part. Then when we come to the part of recording information resources, the delimiter A, it is for classification number. Like for instance, in our case, the classification number is here. We have got 821.914 as a classification number. Then it means this number we have to go to delimiter A because that is our class number. Item number, in this case, it can be those barcodes and stuff, things like that. Or maybe if you are recording your numbers, your collection is from 1 up to 10, it can be any number that is relevant for the particular resource in your library. Then standard or optional numbers, all of these are not provided in this particular resource, so it is not important to write them down. So we need only the class number and the edition. The edition information, which edition of Dewey Decimal Classification did you use? In our case, we use the Dewey Decimal Classification number 23. Remember, there are so many editions of Dewey Decimal Classification starting from 1 up to 23. Now it has moved online to be WebDewey. So I want to believe I've answered your question, but you can indicate if there's something missing. The hotel.
Yes, doctor, you can continue. Oh, there's someone again. Ari, could you kindly revisit field 082? I didn't understand.
That is the one I was. Yeah, I did.
Oh,
that is
okay,
the one
yeah.
I just did respond to it.
Yeah, okay, sure. Okay, there's another one. I just want to go back to title field with a subtitle. What does best practice or RDA rule says about capital letters?
Okay.
Do we start the subtitle with caps?
Okay, thank you so much. Some of the mistakes that will be in the record will be honest mistakes because we were kind of like rushing this whole thing, but no, we cannot start the subtitle with a capital letter, but then we need to visit RDA to clear that out. Because it doesn't start with the capital letter even in the record itself, so it was just an honest mistake. Yeah, as you can see. Oh yeah, but it's fine. Let's just check the Rda toolkit just to be sure. 245. Cites one statement of responsibility, other title information. Still loading. Record any other title information as it appear on the source of information. Okay, it means we were correct. We record it as it appears. So let's check how it appears. it is written, the subtitle is written as a capital letter. So in our recording as well, it should appear as such. Here is the rule. Rule 2.2.3.4.2. Record and other title information that appears on the same source of information as a title prop. So you use the very same information. I didn't get the rule correct. Record any and other title information that appears on the same source of information as a title prop. So here are examples. You were correct, we committed a mistake there. It's supposed to be the right, oh, not here, sorry. Should be the right. Where is this thing now? I am tired. Yeah, it's supposed to be like this. Thank you so much for that. I think you have assisted a lot in that. Makere, thank you. Thank you so much. So can we move on to the next one?
Yes, please.
No. I mean the next question. I think I've done my part for today in terms of this particular. I'm not sure if it meets the expectations of the team, but I think we have done most of the things that we were supposed to do, because it was basically about navigating the Rta Toolkit. So even if you were to record information resources on them, like things like CDs and DVDs, with the Rda Toolkit, you just have to follow the rules that are provided here. Remember, maybe if I can make an example with 264. 264 covers everything. It can be a book, it can be a DVD, it can be an online resource. Everything is covered here, because as you can see here, productions, in most cases DVDs are productions, so they are still under 264. But someone who is reading your resource, or for the system to know, it will note that information through indicators. If you put 1, it will think that you are dealing with publications. So if you put 0, it will know that you are dealing with productions. If you put 2, distributions, and then 3, manufacture or copyright notice date. Due to the comprehensiveness of this and all that, I usually prefer to do one resource, like for instance, as we started with the book, then maybe on another session, if maybe we have another session, we can deal with non-book materials, things like CDs, DVDs, things like any online resources, or maybe journals. We can deal with that in other sessions, but not this one, because I feel like it was too much for a day.
Yeah. Nami ngikhathele lana, but then I've learned a lot, and you've reminded me of a whole lot of things. I hope this is the case with my colleagues as well. Thank you so much, Dr. Sibia, for affording us this opportunity to learn from you. And we are hopeful that you will honor more invitations that are still to come, because I've seen you excel when it comes to RDA. I don't know if there's anyone who wants to say something, but from my side, ngiyabonga. Chekula.
Yes, SJ.
Sure.
Yes, you can hear me.
Yes. Do you have anything to say to our colleagues?
Yeah, and my apology. I'm just thinking maybe you did try to call me. I was called by my supervisor, but Dr. Sylvia, we really appreciate it. When you had the call, you didn't actually, you did bring yourself forward to say that, you know what, we, as the association, we do need you. And just to add on what our secretary just said to you, that there's still going to be more calls from our side to your side, requesting you, and especially where we see that, you know, we need more professional or academic insight from your side. And to all the colleagues who actually did attend, because I've been monitoring the level of participants, and we've kept, I think, around 51 to 55 of participants. This is a really achievement. And to also, again, to our participant or liaison numbers and numbers, I would like to say that if you know that there's actually a particular field that you will need the association to close the gap, like let's just say maybe there's a particular workshop that you will need us to facilitate, or that you need us to come up with, just drop our secretary Mevoloka an email to say that yes, as a suggestion, and we'll take it forward. And again, for our BEC, thank you very much for keeping your weight to say that we're gonna try by all means that each and every quarter we actually have at least one seminar or webinar, or rather a workshop. Thank you very much, once again. From my side, this is all I wanted to share with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you to the participant as well. I am really honored to be part of this session. But I'd like to say that this is an engagement. I'd love to have a session whereby we can share ideas in the near future. Thank you so much. I'm really honored.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, good people. Enjoy the rest of the day.